What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here. How y'all doing? So, we're into the second to last week of Rebels, and I gotta say, they're going out with a bang. They really are. Like, from last week to this week, it was not the sort of last couple episodes building up to the finale that I expected out of them. It was some very, very cool stuff, some crazy stuff. And a lot of connecting to other Star Wars movies and TV series and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff's happened in these past two. So previous review, we went and talked about the Wolf and the Door. And this time we're talking about A World Between Worlds. Really, A Wolf and a Door was the build-up to this episode where everything about the temple and everything comes to fruition. So very, very cool. Just a big heads up, guys. I am going to be spoiling this episode, so if you don't want to be spoiled, please go watch the episode now, and then you can come back and watch. I don't want to ruin it, because these last episodes of Rebels are fantastic. So go watch it, and then come on back, and then you'll know what we're talking about, okay? All right. So, Ezra goes into the portal, and what he finds is a crazy place. Essentially, it's like a giant, I don't know, like paths everywhere with these sort of portals or like viewing screen, like not viewing, I would say they're portals. And just, it's essentially where, like, I think it's where the Force comes through time and space. Because you gotta remember, like, the Force is not something that just exists in the present. It's not just it's an energy. So it intertwines through everything, and that includes time and space. And this zone, this area that little temple, I guess, because it's not really a temple. It feels like a dimension that Ezra goes into, allows you to see that time and space, like it has like future, past, and present. It allows you to see those events, but also even interact with those events too, which we find out. What I loved when they came into that, when Ezra was walking through that area the first time, was the sound bites. Those sound bites. And they were all the movies. They were prequels. Rogue One. I mean, you could hear Jin talking about, like, we have to fight now, sort of thing. I'm certain I heard Kylo. We heard all the original from the original series. I'm pretty sure I heard Rey as well. It was very, very cool. I loved the sound bites that they did in there, because it's just to sort of show you that this area, it sees everything. It sees past, present, and future. So I love that part. That was a very, very cool thing. And he gets brought to this portal where this owl, and this owl is from used to follow around Ahsoka, and the owl is actually linked to the daughter. So the three from Mortis, this Force wielders planet, was just basically like the Force feeds through it and stuff. It's a crazy planet. It's from Clone Wars, a 3-part arc. Probably one of the best arcs out of Clone Wars. It's a very interesting one. And the daughter essentially saves her there. And I think this owl is like a spirit representation of her, like looking over Ahsoka. And yeah, it essentially the portal comes on, and it's the final moments of, what was it? The season 2 finale, where Ahsoka's fighting Vader in the Sith temple, and the temple shuts, and she's inside there, and she's fighting Vader, and like the temple's about to explode. And what happens is Ezra actually reaches through the portal, grabs her, and pulls her out. So now Ahsoka's alive again. She's not dead. She's been brought back. And that got me thinking, like, did they make this entire temple, this entire Force thing, like the whole time and space thing, just to bring Ahsoka back to life again? Really? Ahsoka Tano? It's this character, man. This character, like, I don't mind Ahsoka. I don't mind her. Like, she was, when she was younger, like the whole Sky Guy, sort of thing. It was a little, like, on the nose, and Clone Wars is not the best for it. And she's sort of, she was never trained the best because Anakin wasn't a very good master in a way, and she was just there to be Anakin's apprentice who disappears and is never heard from again after Clone Wars. But then obviously they brought her back for Rebels. Now they make this giant force, this new force thing just to bring her back. It's just like, really? Like, and then you got, like, whenever you think Ahsoka's gone, she just keeps coming back. She keeps coming back. Oh, I thought, like, there are more important characters that you could use this on. Far more important characters that you could use this on than Ahsoka Tano. But I guess in the whole Rebels thing, if they can't bring Kanan back, they're gonna bring Ahsoka back. So I don't know. Maybe it's to have a master-like character there for Ezra, because Ezra's not quite there yet. I don't know. So yeah, that was like when that all happened, and I'm like, you created this whole thing just for Ahsoka, didn't you? That's what you did. I mean, it is kind of linked because this area is essentially linked to the Mortis 3. And then obviously with the daughter being linked to Ahsoka, there's all that stuff there, but okay. I mean, I don't mind it. It made for a very, very cool episode. But I don't know. I don't know about that. So there is also stuff happening on the outside of the portal, outside of this new dimension. The minister, Hayden, he is basically interrogating Sabine. Well, kind of, having a conversation with her about what these things mean, and sort of Sabine's playing along with him, sort of learning what she can, because Sabine figured it out and he couldn't, so he's trying to figure it out as well. And they go into some interesting things, and he basically says, like, you should help me because the Emperor is going to figure out a way to get in there. Now that the portal is open, he'll figure out a way. So if you want to help your friend, you better help me get in there, or the Emperor's going to be in there and he's not going to have any help whatsoever. So it'd be better if I get him instead of the Emperor. So that kind of sets up the Emperor becoming involved later on. Meanwhile, inside the temple or dimension, Ezra has essentially figured out, hey, I saved Ahsoka, maybe I can save Kanan. And he essentially finds the portal that shows the moment of Kanan dying. And Ahsoka kind of has to talk him down. She's like, listen to me. If you take Kanan out of that moment, if you take Kanan out and save him, all of you will die. Everyone will die. Kanan sacrificed himself for a reason. He sacrificed himself to save all of you. You cannot let his sacrifice go in vain. You can't. So you have to let him go. And that's kind of the overall lesson of the episode, of these two episodes, is you have to let Kanan go. And Hera had to do that. And they all have to do that. And essentially it's like, when the episode finishes, Kanan's influence over them is kind of like over the Loth Wolves, and his will is sort of passes on, because I think he only has a certain amount of time that he could stay there. Like, once this was done, that's it. His energy goes off into the Force, and Kanan's gone, because he doesn't have that master. Like, the masters of the Force are the only ones who can keep their individuality when they return to the Force. Kanan's not that. So he was given a small amount of time to sort of influence people and influence, Ezra, and influence, and influence Hera and the Loth Wolves and all that. And then he moved on. So yeah, Ezra kind of realizes he can't go and get them. He can't go and get Kanan. He can't bring him back. He has to move on. He has to let Kanan go so he can move forward and help, essentially do what they were meant to do, which is try and stop the Empire and things like that. And then that leads into the Emperor showing up. Because the portal is open, well, essentially the temple is open in a way, he was able to do like a force ritual, one of his dark force rituals, and essentially opens up a portal for himself, and he can see through it. Now, he can't come through it yet. And McDermott, he's voicing the Emperor, so it's kind of got like, he's, like Ezra Bridger, like that stuff. It was cool. It's very, very cool. I really liked it. I loved it immensely. And to have, he sort of shoots out this fire, this blue fire, this force fire. And Ezra and Ahsoka hold it back the first time, but then they have to run after that because they can't stop the Emperor. Like these guys, like Ahsoka would be on a normal Jedi Knight level. She's not anything too special. She's got good fighting abilities, like she can use dual blades and stuff like that. But on a force power level, like she's nowhere near like a master in any way. And Ezra is still at a Padawan level, so they can't go up against them, against the Emperor. And they essentially are running. This fire is like trying to get a hold of them, because if he can get a hold of them, essentially he can come through the portal, and his hand starts coming through the portal, but Ahsoka cuts the tether that's got Ezra, and that forces him back into his own world. And then they sort of run and separate, and Ezra goes to Ahsoka, hey, when you get out, come find me. Come find me. You'll know where I am. And she's like, all right. And she's like, may the Force be with you and stuff like that. And they run through, and she goes through one portal, which I didn't recognize where she came out. I don't know if that was the Sith temple after the explosion, or it was just some random place. And then Ezra comes back out on the normal side, on the side that he came through. And meanwhile, Sabine's figured out how to close the temple, close the portal, because she's kind of like talking away with this minister guy. And Hera and Zeb have figured out a way to get her out. They essentially, because these command posts are like mobile, so they got jets and stuff, so they can be moved. They managed to get them to flip and stuff, like turn on the two front jets and they flip, and she gets out, and Ezra comes out, and they have a little bit of a standoff, and Chop comes in with the drill and is driving the drill, kind of like BB-8 with the ATST in Last Jedi. But this, he's sort of like holding them off with this drill, but they got to get up to the where the sun's hand is, because the sun is how they close it. So the daughter opens the way, the sun closes the way, sort of thing. And essentially, he puts his hand on, does the same thing he did with the daughter, and that closes the portal and essentially collapses the temple. So they all have to run, they all get on the drill and run. The minister guy, like, I don't know if he gets too close and he gets swallowed up by the temple. But he dies. Like, he's like, no, not the temple. And he gets so close that he gets blown up, or he gets sucked in with it. And like the mural's all moving, and the father, like the son and daughter slip away, and then the father sort of does a thing, and they all the entire temple disappears. Which was kind of cool to see. And yeah, that was essentially it, really. It was a kind of a quick fire pace couple of episodes. Both of them did. They went really, really fast. There was no sort of downtime for any of it. But I loved this dimension thing. Like, I know, like, I think they created it for Ahsoka, to get Ahsoka back from the dead, essentially. But I like the concept of it, right? I liked how, the Force is intertwined through everything, including time and space. So theoretically, this could happen. And if these Celestials, the Mortis 3 have created this area to be able to see that time and space, and then if someone was able to take control of that, they would essentially be master of all of that. Because You could see into the future. You could alter events. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Taking Ahsoka out of dying, like, how does that interfere with anything? And essentially, it would be like she has been taken out at one point in time and then put back into another point in time. She hasn't existed in between. So I don't know if that changes the effect in any way. It's weird. I don't know what happens there. But it's an interesting concept. And like I said, like, I love when the Force goes mystical like this. I like how it's somewhat over the top, but it's sort of sci-fi in a way, and it's not all like, midi-chlorians, force pushing, throwing lightsabers. Like, Force lightning used to be like the as big as it went. This is like expanded universe stuff, which I love. I love that stuff where you have crazy concepts and they just go wild with it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I mean, I think like I said, they created it for Ahsoka, but it's a very, very cool concept, and I loved the sound bites that they did to make it seem like it was past, present, future, because it was the past, present, future movies, through the timeline, which was cool. Even including Rogue One, which I liked. I don't know if they had clips from Han Solo. I don't know about that one. I'm sure someone's analyzing all those sound bites. I don't think there would be one from the Han Solo movie, but be interesting to see. But I don't know if this will actually entice the Emperor to come out to Lothal. Like, Ezra and Ahsoka have kind of ruined one of his massive plans. Because if he had this, if he had that dimension, if he had this thing, he would see that the Death Star is a bad move. He would have seen that, he's created two of them and they both blow up and one kills him. So that essentially, if the Emperor had gotten in there, he would have won everything. So it would have been interesting to see if he does come to Lothal to face Ezra, because of how, you just took away probably my most powerful weapon type thing, potential weapon, sort of thing. But I do love how they did this, like, the Emperor is interested in this thing. Like, and this is what the Emperor does, is that he has these things all over the universe. He finds these, Force, relics and things like that have this power to them and interesting phenomenons and all that. It's like things that can make him more powerful, he's interested in. So I love how they had that research division there, and it was very, very cool in that way. But I think like just connecting it to the Clone Wars, that the 3-arc series with the Mortis 3 with the father, son, and daughter, very, very cool. Bringing Ahsoka back, I don't have any problems with that. I don't have any problems with them keeping a hold of this character that just keeps on appearing out of everywhere. I honestly thought she would have been done after Clone Wars, but clearly they think, hey, people like her. I think somewhere she's a fan favorite. I guess she's not one of mine, but I mean, I like her I like her enough. I think I like her enough. She's done a decent enough job. I think she's cool. I think she's far cooler in Rebels than she ever was in Clone Wars. Essentially, like, Ahsoka was kind of there to show how awful the Jedi were. Like, if you see the end of Clone Wars and what happens to Ahsoka and why she's like an outcast and why she wasn't killed in Order 66, you can kind of see how just awful the Jedi were. And that's kind of the new tact that, this new Disney Star Wars line has gone. Like you saw in Last Jedi, how they just said, the Jedi sucked. They let one man take over everything and kill them all. That sort of thing. And they were so arrogant about it and all this stuff. So that's kind of cool. So I don't mind Ahsoka being back. Emperor stuff, super cool. And just the temple itself. Very, very awesome. Very, very, very cool. And the music, like I said in the last review, like the music, spot on, man. I love the music and all of it. It's like, especially through the Emperor fight and all that. I dug it. I dug it a lot. It was very cool. Very like orchestra and like it was just grand Star Wars. Grand Star Wars is all I can say. Very, very cool. But yeah, I mean, next week, finale. I think it's a one normal episode, then a 2-part finale. I think is happening. It's essentially like an hour and a half, all up of Rebels finishing it all up, and we'll finally see where everyone ends up and like where Ezra ends up, why he's not around. The only people we know where they end up is Hera, Chop, and the Ghost. Essentially, that's it. That's it. So I'm very, very excited. I'm very keen to see it. Rebels is going out with a bang, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Bye.